And we have more on the fallout from Scott D'Amore's firing from TNA. I know Dave's batting average this week was pretty low, but he did say that D'Amore's offer to buy the company from Anthem, because after he was made aware of the fact that his time there, he was on borrowed time, he did try to make an offer to buy TNA away from Anthem, and which was rejected, by the way, clearly. He says that the offer came after their January 20th and 21st tapings in Florida. He says sources on both sides say D'Amore knew well before the Hard to Kill pay-per-view that not only was he being let go, but Ed Nordholm, the former president of Impact Wrestling before D'Amore took over in that role, he too is no longer a part of TNA, although he's an Anthem guy, so he still works for Anthem, just no longer on the wrestling side. So that means D'Amore knew that he was a dead man walking when he went out there after the Will Ospreay-Josh Alexander match on television. He cut that impassioned promo in the middle of the ring. Now we know why he was so fired up, because he knew he was a goner. He knew this was the last time he was going to be able to address the TNA audience. Meltzer noted that D'Amore and Nordholm both being gone from TNA are directly related, as Nordholm is the one who was said to have pushed hard for Anthem to spend on signing people like CM Punk and Will Ospreay, neither of whom ended up actually signing with TNA. So you have the two men responsible for pushing Anthem to spend more and help grow the brand being dismissed at the same time. That is not a coincidence. Now, Fightful published a letter this week that members of the TNA roster sent to Anthem CEO Len Asper, as well as Scott D'Amore. In the letter, they expressed their belief that D'Amore is the best person to be leading TNA. And that letter reads as follows. Len and Scott, TNA/Impact is not just our employer and the company for which we work. It is a family that each of us has grown to love and cherish and trust with our bodies and our careers. A family for which we feel deeply and that desire above all else to protect. We are deeply saddened by the decision to remove Scott D'Amore from the TNA Impact family. Scott is a brilliant wrestling mind that has guided this company and has it positioned to take the next step upward in our industry. Scott is also so much more than this. He is a trusted friend, confidant, teacher, advisor, brother, and mentor to so many within the TNA family. Scott has been the heart of the TNA family for over 2 decades. Len and Anthem have been instrumental in supporting and building this company back from the ground up. The contributions of Len and Anthem have never gone unnoticed by anyone in the company, and we want to make sure Len knows this. TNA, simply put, would not have survived without Len and Anthem. Not just financially, but with the undying faith in Scott and us to revive the company that was on the brink of death. Len and Anthem are the foundation that TNA has been able to build upon. We would not have made it back to this point without both of you. Fans know this and the TNA family knows this. We come to you to voice our concern for TNA, our family, and its future and direction. We, like you, wish to safeguard what we have all worked and sweat and bled for to build. We want TNA to continue to grow and to continue to be an enviable place for all professional wrestlers to work. We understand and appreciate that professional wrestling at its core is a business and that the company must provide a fiscally responsible, financially viable product. At the same time, professional wrestling is uniquely situated. The business of professional wrestling is so much more than balance sheets, downloads, and ratings. The wrestling business is and must be its people, its characters, and its storylines. That is to say, there is no wrestling business without the wrestling creative vision, and the right people bringing the creative vision to life. To thrive, a wrestling company must have both an eye toward business decisions and its fingers on the pulse of creative decisions and the ever-changing appetite of our fans. It is in light of this concern and our desire to uphold the high standards of TNA that we offer this letter. It is our desire to have a dialogue with you and with the company in an effort to protect the present and future of TNA for you, for Anthem, for the fans, and for professional wrestlers. We feel strongly that a wrestling person needs to be intimately involved at a high level to ensure that the amazing company we have all built and the product that we have provided to our fans continues to grow and flourish. It is our opinion that the best possible person for that role was, is, and will be Scott. We recognize that we do not necessarily know all the facts or details around the decision to remove Scott. In life, there is always the rumors, the opinions, and somewhere in between, the truth. We rarely get to know which is which. It remains our hope and desire that everyone can set aside the past few days and any hurt feelings or unkind words that may have been exchanged, and meet to discuss a path forward that preserves the TNA family we all hold so dearly. We remain steadfast and hopeful that this letter can be a first step to opening and keeping open a productive lines of communication to ensure TNA's family continues to be a wonderful, unique place to work for years to come. We ask and implore you both to come together and create a resolution that will reunite this family once again. We look forward to hearing from you and continuing this dialogue. Signed, your TNA family. So Mike Johnson is saying that that was just a portion of the letter. The full thing is actually longer than that. And there were a lot of people upset that the letter got leaked. I'm glad it did. I'm glad it was leaked. It shows just how much support Scott D'Amore has, from that TNA roster, and how well-liked and well-respected he is. I don't know how persuasive this letter is going to be to Anthem, or if it's going to move the needle at all. I don't think it's going to result in Anthem bringing back Scott D'Amore to his old job. It should, though, because they fucked up. And look, they're right when they say in the letter that, look, we, and by we, the fans as well, we don't know all the details of what went into the decision. We have heard that it had to do with the fact that, again, D'Amore and maybe Ed Nordholm were pushing for more money to be spent or a bigger budget so that they can really try to grow and expand this brand. And clearly that didn't seem to align with what Anthem had in mind. And that led to this fracture. If there were other reasons involved, there could have been a very good reason why he was let go. But again, if it was something salacious, or if it was something like, the first thing you think of when you hear something like this is, Scott D'Amore was fired? What the fuck? Especially after the month that they just had. Something must have happened, right? That's just your natural instinct. Especially with the stuff that we've heard recently when it comes to wrestling in the news. You think something must have happened. He did something. He said something. There's some legal matter at play here. They had to get rid of this guy. And by all accounts, that doesn't seem to be the case here. So I think they fucked up, and they should fix their mistake. Scott D'Amore did a lot of positive things for TNA. He built up a lot of goodwill. Now, let's not get carried away and act like the company was putting up numbers like they did 15 years ago. Their audience is still relatively small. Their audience is a fraction of what it used to be. But I don't think you can see the kind of growth D'Amore was looking for without a better television deal. And I don't see how replacing Scott D'Amore with Anthony Ciccone or anyone else is going to change that. Was Scott D'Amore the one holding them back from getting off of Access TV for a bigger network? Not only was he not holding them back from that, by all accounts, he was probably, in his mind anyway, I don't know if he ever had any direct conversations with them about the television aspect of things, but he was probably encouraging it and hoping for it and pushing for it. He wanted to try to get them to spend more. Anthem doesn't want to spend more. And until that attitude changes, nothing they do is going to move the needle much. Even under D'Amore, they had a good month. January was, up until a point, January was a very good month for TNA until this happened. A lot of excitement for the TNA product. But they're in the same spot that they have been in for the past several years. But that's not on Scott D'Amore. That's on Anthem. Now, Friday morning, after the Observer dropped, and Dave had that item, it was one line in the Observer that Tommy Dreamer has taken over as the head of creative for TNA. Dreamer, who has a regular recurring role on Busted Open Radio, he was on, and they informed him that he was trending on social media after the report came out. And Dreamer said, "I'm so glad that people know things about my life that I don't know. Everything is staying intact how it was before, with myself, Robert Evans, and Delirious from Ring of Honor. So there are no changes. And I purposely made sure that that was a thing. So whoever reported about myself and my life, thank you. But as someone who has been doing the same stuff for the entire time I've been there, nothing has changed. Thanks for the promotion. I hope I get a raise with this fictitious position, because if I was the head of creative, you know Moose is losing the title to me at whatever the next show is. Book myself on time, brother." Mike Johnson added a little bit more to this. He had a rumor killer report on PW Insider, and he did confirm with multiple sources that Meltzer's report is 100% incorrect. Here is what he has been able to confirm. The existing TNA creative team, which is Tommy Dreamer, R.D. Evans, and Hunter Johnston, Delirious, formerly from Ring of Honor, that team is going to remain in place, and they are going to continue to work as they did before Scott D'Amore got fired. The existing team is going to be supported by Gail Kim, who was already one of the top officials behind the scenes. She does a lot of different things for them. So now she could add creative to that list of responsibilities. Not that she didn't have input into that before, but now she'll be supporting that team. Jorge Barbosa has also joined the creative process. He has been a senior producer for Anthem for a long time. He was the person behind all of the excellent Fight Network Diary documentaries that focused on TNA personalities and MMA personalities. And supposedly he has a great reputation creatively from the different projects that he has worked on. That doesn't necessarily mean that when it comes to pro wrestling, he'll be a great creative mind, but he has been added to the process. And so Tommy Dreamer is not the one in charge. Then who is? And Johnson has confirmed that Ariel Schnerer will be overseeing all TNA content going forward and will be working in conjunction with the new TNA president. So it will be Schnerer who will have the last word on any talent and creative decisions, although Anthony Chacon, the new president, will be the top of the food chain there, so to speak. Schnerer is the former general manager of the Fight Network. He has been involved in TNA since Anthem acquired the company. Apparently he's appeared on TV from time to time as Dr. Ariel, but behind the scenes is where he has really been important. He manages the distribution of TNA across Anthem, and he was involved in securing their television deal with DAZN and a number of TNA streaming deals for Roku and Pluto TV. So technically speaking, if anybody was to be considered the head of creative going forward, it would be him. It would not be Tommy Dreamer.